Manufacturing is now one of the most observability mature industries, with Splunk reporting productivity up for 86% of manufacturers. But how does it stack up against more mature areas like finance and high tech? Joining us to unpack this are Christine Lowe from Splunk and Padraig Byrne from Gartner. Welcome, Christine and Padraig. So, what's enabling manufacturing firms to lead in observability maturity?
Historically, manufacturing actually has been one of the laggards in regards to observability. They've often seen monitoring as something which is a cost center rather than a value add. However, we have started to see transformation in this industry in recent years. And I think a lot of that has been driven by the adoption of new technologies in manufacturing, the implementation of AI, the addition of more and more automation within the whole production cycle. And because of this, we really need to get better visibility into what we're doing. And the only way to do that in a modern organization is to implement better observability into this whole supply chain.
According to the Splunk State of Observability 2025 report, about 40% more of the manufacturing industry leads in the adoption of automated remediation, code profiling, and observability as code. Now, these are all the core building blocks of a modern observability practice. They've also built a culture where IT ops engineering and security teams work together very effectively, and where 97% report that they share and reuse the data, and over 80% perform a joint troubleshooting. Now, this report also found that the manufacturers aren't just looking at observability as a monitoring tool. They've actually leveraged it as a business calculus to power the business decisions, ranging from the manufacturing floor to the boardroom. So as a result, 86% report improved employee productivity, 78% see better product and services uptime. By streamlining the operations, they boost their efficiencies and they confidently scale the emerging technologies such as AI automation. We found that in one of our customers, LG Electronics, who has been transforming their global operations with Splunk as the backbone of the data strategy. They started with about 5 to 6 million smart TVs, and that has actually scaled all the way to greater than 200 million connected devices.
Just for better understanding on this, which pain points in productivity are most addressed by improved observability tools?
Very good question. So the manufacturing industry faces a lot of system stresses. You've got demand spikes, you've got supply chain holdups, you've got natural disasters that really task organizations to stay up and running. So these disruptions can occur at any level of the digital ecosystem and can severely curb productions. So teams need to troubleshoot issues faster. They need to run operations more predictively, and they need to leverage AI in the decision making. We found teams are responding to a lot of false alerts. This is one of the biggest drain on morale. So in Singapore alone, right, 50% say they spend more time than they should responding to alerts. So Splunk Observability empowers manufacturers to boost productivity by reducing the reactive work. It cuts down the number of false alerts, accelerates troubleshooting, and free the teams up to focus on the higher value innovation. So more fire prevention than instead of firefighting, and ultimately improves morale.
I mean, there's a lot of pain points within manufacturing in particular. I mean, we can talk about traditional IT issues. So for example, identifying applications and infrastructure that have had outages, getting ahead of that, identifying them quickly and putting them back online can really accelerate your production, the production line. So really getting things proactively monitored and getting that insight that's provided by observability. So we can do that, but we can also move beyond traditional IT use cases. We can use observability to look wider in this. So for example, in logistic chains, being able to identify where in that supply chain particular parts are, being able to feed that back so we can think more holistically about the business that we're operating. And also the integration of OT, IT, right? This operational technology, traditional non-IP equipment. How do we integrate that into modern observability? And when we do that, and we do have some examples where people are actually starting to implement OT and IT, that gives us a more holistic overview of what's happening within this industry.
Now, on improvements, where do manufacturers still need improvement to fully maximize observability ROI?
I do believe that across the industry more broadly, we need to be more proactive in what we're doing. There's still a lot of legacy equipment out there. There's still a lot of legacy thinking that goes along with that, that really has a separation between what happens in the IT world and what happens on the manufacturing processes and on the floor. And I think that those industries that have not adopted an observability mindset really need to look at this and say, well, what are we doing elsewhere in industry? How are we looking at modern technologies? And where can observability give us that edge in making sure that we have an effective and productive workflow?
It's a very good question. So I'm seeing still tool sprawl remains a significant challenge. Over in Singapore is about 65% say it negatively impacts their team morale. There's also disruptive technologies such as AI and digital twinning, which means you got to optimize data across the IT and the operational tech OT world. This requires observability and collaboration across the silo teams and also a very complex digital system. Nearly half of the Singapore respondents actually say monitoring AI workloads has actually made their jobs a lot more challenging. That reflects the complexity created by the AI-driven environment.
Thank you so much for your time today, Christine and Padraig. Chat with you both again soon.
Thanks, Seth.
Thank you very much.
Once again, those were Christine Lowe, Head of Observability for EPJC at Splunk, and Padraig Byrne, VP Analyst at Gartner. For more news, visit manufacturing.asia.